A 12-man team gets dropped into hostile territory with a month's worth of mission ahead of them and roughly a week's worth of food on their backs. Nobody's coming to resupply them. Nobody's coming to save them if it goes wrong. And the entire objective, the whole point of the mission, is that the enemy never finds out they were ever there. That's the job description for an Army Special Forces team. The guys who wear the green beret, operating deep inside what planners call a denied area. Getting in is the easy part. Staying alive, staying hidden, and staying sane for 30 straight days is where the real math starts to break down. So how do you actually feed, rest, and keep 12 grown men functional for a month when making noise, making fire, or making a mistake can end the mission and possibly end them? It comes down to 5 things falling apart in a very specific order, and the thing that actually gets a team caught is almost never what people assume. Start with the food, because that's where the deficit begins on day 1. A team can only carry so much weight before the pack becomes the reason they get caught, so the calories they bring in are never enough for what they're about to burn. Guys who've been through it describe eating cold, eating fast, and eating whatever won't crinkle a wrapper or leave a wrapper behind at all. No fires unless the terrain and the mission both allow it, because smoke and light are how patrols find you from a mile out. So the ration gets stretched, the body starts running a deficit almost immediately, and that deficit compounds every single day they're out there. Sleep is where it gets worse. There's no tent, no watch schedule where everyone's actually resting. A security halt might get a man 2 or 3 hours before he's back on watch, listening for a footstep that shouldn't be there. You don't sleep so much as you power down in shifts, weapon against your chest, ready to move the second something sounds wrong. By the second week, the sleep debt is doing more damage to the team than the terrain is. Then there's staying invisible, which is the actual full-time job underneath the job. Every step gets planned around cover. Every radio transmission gets kept short because the enemy can find a signal source if a team stays on the air too long. Camouflage isn't paint on a face, it's constant maintenance. Foliage that's already wilting, getting swapped for foliage that still looks alive, because a sniper or a scout who's actually good at this notices dead leaves where live ones should be. One footprint in the wrong mud, one radio call that runs 30 seconds too long, and a month of discipline is gone in an instant. By the 3rd week, the body itself becomes the enemy. Guys who've served on these teams say the exhaustion stops feeling like tiredness and starts feeling like a low fog you can't think through. Judgment slips first. A man who'd normally clock a mistake from 50 yards starts missing it from 10. And that's the part almost nobody talks about when they picture Green Berets in enemy territory. It isn't the ambush people imagine. It's a body that's been underfed and underrested for 3 weeks straight, making the calls that keep the whole team alive or gets them killed. Which brings up the thing that actually decides whether a 30-day mission behind enemy lines survives to the end. It's not the enemy's search patterns, and it's not the terrain. It's whether the team's own math holds up, calories against exertion, sleep against alertness, noise against distance from a patrol. Robert Howard, one of the most decorated Green Berets to ever serve, spent years running missions deep in hostile territory during Vietnam, and by most accounts from the men who served alongside him, what separated the teams that made it out wasn't luck. It was that the discipline never slipped, not on hour 1 and not on day 29. The enemy wasn't hunting for a team. The enemy was hunting for one mistake, and a team that never gave them one was a team that came home. That's also why isolation does more damage than almost anyone expects going in. 12 men, 30 days, no contact with home, minimal contact even with each other beyond what the mission requires, because talking is noise and noise travels. The guys who've done this describe the silence as its own kind of weight. You start rationing conversation the same way you ration food. And somewhere around the 3rd week, the isolation starts working on a man in a way the physical hardship doesn't. It's quieter, but it doesn't let up. By the time extraction finally comes, a team that's held together for 30 days isn't walking out victorious in the way people picture. They're walking out having survived their own arithmetic, calories that never quite balanced, sleep that never quite arrived, and 30 days of never once being the reason the mission failed. The Green Beret gets all the mythology built around it. What actually keeps 12 men alive in enemy territory for a month is smaller than that, and far less glamorous. It's whether the discipline held on the day nobody was watching. So the next time you hear someone talk about special forces like it's about the gunfights, remember that most of the men who've actually done this will tell you the gunfight was the easy day. The hard days were the 29 before it, when nothing happened, and staying hidden was the entire mission. Was it worth it? 30 days of hunger and half sleep, just to make sure nothing happened at all? Every man who's worn that beret into a denied area would probably tell you yes, because nothing happening was the whole point.